Hey guys, Mike here. It's been a while since I made a video. Took a 2-3 week hiatus from YouTube. Haven't even logged in till tonight. Answer a couple questions. Just been kind of burned out, so figured I'd take a little break. And I've been focusing on doing all these CDs. I finally got that whole collection that I bought a while back, that 3,000, wound up with about 700 maybe CDs to get up on Amazon, and got that all done. And here's the end result, about 2,000 CDs I have up. And got a phone call today from a friend of a friend who has a friend who has about 400 CDs, a personal collection he wants to sell. So I'll give him a call tomorrow, see what happens. But I know one thing for sure, if I do wind up getting that one, then I'm going to build out this wall and do a little expanding here. So anyway, figured I'd make a video since it's been a while, and head into the office. I made a little list of a few tips and some things I've learned maybe over the last couple weeks. Howdy guys, Mike here. You finally get to see my ugly mug. I was sitting here trying to figure out what to hold the camera and look at while I went over a few tips I wrote down, and figured I may as well try to turn it around, and it'll free up my hands anyway. Maybe be a little bit better presentation, although it's still going to be cheesy. My notes. I was in a meeting the other day at work, bored to tears, so I figured I'd jot down a few notes on my next video, so here we go. Talk about a few points with the Amazon sales, and I've already showed you the collection, and the biggest issue I'm having now is trying to figure out a way to maintain that collection. You know, you get all excited and hope you can get sales up to, you know, if you're selling 20 or 30 a day, which I'm not. I'm selling, well, I have sold 22 in the last day, but I'd say on average I'm probably selling 15 to 20 a day right now, and that's awesome for me. It's, you know, not a whole lot probably by other standards, but for me it's really good. And you know, you do that math, and you know, after a while you're going to run out of CDs really fast, so it's always a constant you know, hassle trying to figure out how to get the new CDs in. So the biggest way that I've found to get CDs is actually Craigslist. That's been the best way to go. I found the best collections there, found people with personal collections. eBay, not so much. As a matter of fact, I just got burned on eBay. I wouldn't say really burned, but I got yet another seller who wasn't quite upfront with the condition of the CDs and probably where he got the CDs. It was listed as a pure personal collection of jazz CDs, and I paid way more than I should for various reasons. One reason is it was the first little part of a really large collection he claims, so I figured I'd pay an extra money on these 150 that he had up for sale, so that way if I really liked them I could, you know, I'd have kind of an inside track on what these CDs were all about in case he put up a really huge lot. I'd be more comfortable dumping more money into it if I already had a peek inside the collection. But he had listed it as a purely personal collection, and when I got it, it had lots of cutouts. It had lots of ones that said promo on them, and a lot of singles. And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that. I'll give you an example of a few CDs that are promos, and hopefully this will turn out for you can see it well. This one here, you can see it's got a little line through the UPC. It means it's the barcode there. It means it's a promo. Sorry for my shaking hands. I've got horrible nerves. I could never be a surgeon. This one here is just an example of a single, which I don't know why I'm bothering to show you guys, because I'm sure everybody on earth knows what a single is. It's only got, you know, 1 or 2, 3 songs on it. This one here actually says promotional copy, not for sale. And then what's this one here? This one has marker over the barcode. This one here is another one that actually says, for promotional use only, sale or other transfer is prohibited, must be returned on demand by a recording company. And on the back you can see it's got a big hole through the barcode. And then here's an example of one that actually has a cutout on it, which is pretty common. Hopefully you can see that. It's right up there. So all these I can't sell on Amazon. I could probably get away with it, but I'm just really paranoid about getting hit with a policy violation and, you know, losing losing my rating, or worse yet, getting my account suspended. So I don't even mess with that stuff. Amazon tells you not to sell, promos, cutouts, which are all basically the same thing. So I do my best just to avoid it. And in that lot that guy gave me, there were 150-ish CDs, maybe a hair more, and about 55 of them turned out to be promos, singles, trash that I couldn't sell. So I was kind of irritated about that. Still trying to determine whether or not I want to give him a negative feedback. I'll probably contact him first, see if he can give me a small refund. However, the ones that I did keep and I can sell are really good. So I'm at least going to double my money. Not a home run by any stretch, but still better than nothing. Excuse me. And what else did I want to talk about? Yeah, how to tell if it's a real collection or if it's just some guy trying to get rid of his penny CDs, promo CDs, and scratch CDs. Number one is condition. Most people who have a personal collection are going to keep them in relatively decent condition, except for me. My CDs are all completely trash because when I was collecting CDs, I was throwing them on the floor of the car and stuff. So number one, condition. They should be in pretty good condition, and not just the CDs, but you can tell. Matter of fact, do I have some here? And you'll never be able to tell, probably. I won't even bother. But not just the CDs, but the actual case themselves. There's plastic cases scuff kind of easily, so you can tell when they've been transferred from owner to owner about 500 times, and they're just kind of scuffed up, scraped up. Probably a sign it's not a personal collection. And also another indication, none of these are definite, but if you see this and it's like a wide range from Barry Manilow to Anthrax, to classical to R&B, not that many people have that wide of range of listening taste. Usually you'll run into like a heavy metal collection, a country collection, a classical collection, so that can be an indicator. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, another thing to do, which I found out, is especially obviously on Craigslist, is to actually talk to the party selling it in person, and ask them a few questions, and you can kind of get an idea. Typically, most people you can tell just by talking to them if they're trying to rip you off. You can kind of get an indication about what kind of quality person they are, if they're dodging answers, or if they're basically what I'm getting at is call them, talk to them, and get the story, and you'll get an idea of whether or not they're truly are personal collections. I ask them, number one, if it's their collection, and hopefully they'll be honest with you, maybe not. And number two, were they store bought? That way you're not going to get a whole lot of promos, hopefully, unless they've been digging in the bargain bin at Walmart or whatever. What genre they are, see if they're how varied that is, and of course condition. Excuse me. And also, I should say, if you're talking about Craigslist, always make sure you're safe and meet in a bank parking lot, police parking lot, something like that. Last big deal I did, I paid $1,500 for 3,000 CDs, and we did the transaction where I worked. There's a bunch of armed security guards there because it's a government building, and a couple guys I work with, a couple buddies of mine, went out with me just to give me a little backup. Let's see, what else did I have here? Oh, another thing, I've already touched on this, but I'll mention it again, and that is an inventory system. And I would say if you're starting out, don't even get started without figuring out a good inventory system. What I do is every time I list a CD, I label it with the SKU in Amazon and put it on the spine. I think I have one right here. It's a bad example though because this is the original label I used and they were crappy. But that's the idea right there. And because if you get started and then 600, 700, 1,000 CDs into it, you decide you need to get into an inventory system, it's going to be a pain in the butt. I had to do that. So start off doing it right and save you a lot of time and trouble. Let's see what else. Okay, yeah, definitely. I touched on this before also, but the thing with CDs, at least for me, is I'm not making a whole lot of money per CD. I did some reporting on my Amazon sales, and it came out to I think it was $4.40 some cents a piece was my average Amazon sale, and that's not a ton of money. Now, typically on average, I'm going to have 50 cents, give or take, 50 cents to $1, maybe at most. Except for this last one I bought. And so from a percentage wise, you're making a killer margin, but at the same time, by the time Amazon takes out all their fees, you may be lucky to only get a couple bucks in your pocket, $2 or $3 if you're lucky, on a $4, $5 CD. So the key that I found is efficiency. If it takes you 2 hours to pack 5 CDs, it's just not worth it. But if you can pack 20 CDs in an hour, suddenly that hourly rate starts looking pretty good. And so I just hammer home efficiency, efficiency. Always think about what you're making per hour. Is it worth your time to do? And always look for efficiencies. Exercising economy of scale somehow. What I'll do is, if I have 20 CDs to pack, I won't even crack the computer yet. I'll just sit down with the CDs and I'll throw them in the packages and write on the CDs the weight and the name, partial name anyway. And then I'll get into Amazon and I can just fly through that pile. Basically when you lump all your packing in all at once, then all your label printing in all at once, you're going to get a little more efficiency out of it doing it that way. Now let's see. Oh, another thing I wanted to talk about is how much to list them for, and whether or not to even list penny CDs. I recommend doing penny CDs just to start with because you want to get used to the system, you want to get used to Amazon, the whole process, and the more you can sell, the faster that'll happen. So when I first started, I put about 600 CDs up that were originally in eBay, and then put them over to Amazon. And man, I bet 200 or 300, maybe not that many, maybe, were penny CDs. I wasn't making a dime off of them, but I was selling them like crazy. And so I was getting all this experience. I was able to figure out how to do this stuff efficiently. And now what I've done is I've gone to the lowest CD I'll sell is $1.11. That's just some random number I picked out. You could do whatever you wanted. But what I do is if it's a low price CD, 20 cents, a penny, whatever, I'll click on the sales record that they have up on Amazon, and I'll see if I can get my $1.11 on the first page of results. I'll go ahead and put it in there, and if I can't, the CD goes. And I was shocked, man. I went through and I put all my low end stuff that was a penny, 20 cents, whatever, cranked them all up to that higher amount, and every single week I'm selling that stuff. I mean, I'm constantly seeing $1.11 CDs, so I think it's obviously working, and those are the same CDs that would have been going for a penny or 20 cents, so it's definitely worth it. And another thing to keep in mind is when you're making your listing, I think the Amazon actually changed it recently, where the particular item description is uh, right under the price, I think, where they used to have it with your business name and some other stuff. But anyway, the point being is that try to write something in your product description that makes you stand out in any way, shape, or form. Whether it's super fast shipping, insanely honest seller, or we love our customers, satisfaction guaranteed. Anything that'll make you stand out. I can't tell you how many times I've got onto Amazon and it just cracks me up. I'll look at a listing of CDs and the guy's description or girl's description is something like CDs may be scratched. We don't have time to look at them all individually. Who the heck's going to buy from this person? It's kind of ridiculous. So, from a buyer's point of view, if they're going to go out and, buy this CD, if they see one for a quarter, 50 cents, and then they see one for, $1.50, but the one for $1.50 says that satisfaction is guaranteed, they're an honest seller, super fast shipping, who wouldn't spend the extra dollar to feel comfortable that they're getting it, from you? So make sure you put in a good description that makes you stand out a little bit. And I think that's it. Wanted to mention also that, two things actually. I wanted to mention that I got an email from Amazon, I guess you all did too, that they're changing the shipping price for the CDs from, was it $2.98 to $3.99. But they're also raising the minimal transaction fee, and I think it's gone from like 80, I can't remember, 80 some cents to I think $1.35. So they're jacking that up, but they're jacking up the shipping rates even further. So now there's low-end CDs, you'll actually make a little bit more money, which is pretty cool. And the other thing I wanted to list is just a couple ways to get rid of CDs. I take all my CDs that don't sell on Amazon, send them through a local auction, and do okay with them. It depends on the sale, I guess. This last sale I did kind of crappy, but in the past I've gotten over 50 cents for them. I think I was getting actually almost $1 a piece at one point. But you got to get rid of them somehow. Or you could sell them, take them to like NESAP or something, and you can claim that on your taxes. But I've never done that, so I'm not really an expert. So I guess that's about it. You guys have a great night, morning, whatever it is, and thanks for watching. Please rate, subscribe, leave comments, all that good stuff. And also I want to apologize for you guys who have asked me some questions on Amazon. Or on YouTube. I mentioned this earlier in the video, but I've taken a couple weeks off and I haven't even cracked open YouTube, so this is my first night getting back into it. So I'm not ignoring everybody, I just haven't been checking in. Take care. Bye.